Finally, after long-awaited anticipation and mass confusion, I've ridden Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift, both during technical rehearsal and annual Passholder preview. And even after waiting 5 hours in the blistering heat and getting a sunburn that made me look like the ghoul from Fallout, I prevailed. Universal Studios Hollywood finally has a proper roller coaster, and the excitement can be felt by everyone except for those generationally wealthy folks living in multi-million-dollar homes multiple miles away. They swear they heard a faint scream at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and by golly, they're gonna make their voices heard. And with that, this ride still isn't officially open, with Universal having to build an additional sound wall to appease these geriatric, sound-sensitive golf club members. Universal's been hush-hush about any hint of a proper opening, instead opting to have the attraction open under technical rehearsals randomly throughout the week. People are just itching to experience this attraction, and Universal decided to throw us fans a bone and randomly sent out emails about an annual Passholder preview, giving a ton of people who didn't have the time to, stalk Reddit and Twitter the opportunity to ride it for the first time. I failed once, and that's when I waited 5 hours and got the sunburn, and my second attempt I was lucky enough to get on twice during the technical rehearsal period, and once those emails came out I also managed to snag a time slot for the preview, so at this point I've ridden the ride my fair share of times. I feel like an official opening might still be a ways away, so for now in its current state, here are my thoughts on Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift, how it lives up to the hype, and what it means for the future of Universal Studios Hollywood. I don't want to waste any time, so I'm just going to get right into my review and honest thoughts and save the when will it open and what this means for the park conversation towards the end of the video. I'm going to be judging the ride off of its current state. It's not officially open, so I feel like a lot of my complaints might be addressed by the time they work out all the kinks. So with all of the hedging out of the way, let's get into it, starting off with the queue and loading station itself. We enter the ride walking through a large archway resembling the iconic Figueroa Street tunnels that have been an iconic part of Los Angeles Road since 1931. These tunnels were designed by Muriel Butler, an engineer responsible for a lot of LA's classic bridges and roadways. Anything that you see in that kind of Art Deco, kind of 1930s and 20s style is probably something engineered and designed by him. This is a fantastic little touch and something as a native Angelino I really appreciated. After this, we enter through a brick tunnel that goes under the ride station, and this is where you're split into General, Express, and Single Rider. And inside this tunnel, 2 TVs play a 45-second loop of clips from the films. Comparing this to something like The Simpsons ride that actually entertains you with hours and hours of actual clips from the episodes, this is just the equivalent of Universal just slapping a TikTok on the wall and making you watch it for an hour. Even when I did Single Rider during previews, I was just kind of watching this loop over and over again. Like, could Universal not shoot some kind of pre-show material, or at least do a compilation of actual scenes from the movies, instead of, just a couple clips of cars drifting around? It just comes off as lazy, like they put all of this work into this ride, and they couldn't do a little highlight reel or something. Like, watch, I'll do it right now.
Money will come and go. We know that. The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room.
This area has you weaving through a ton of switchbacks, passing by various picture cars and props from the films, like the safe from Fast 5, or the ramp car driven by the infamous Studio Tour supercharged villain Owen Shaw. I've always liked Fast and the Furious, ironically. I've always had fun watching them, and being a guy who's devoted a whole channel around companies spending a ton of money on really goofy stuff, you can understand why I'm fascinated by them. And I've always found myself dumbfounded that these films not only have an incredibly devoted fan base, but are also insanely profitable, which only encourages them to get more silly and over the top and melodramatic with every sequel. But even me, someone who wasn't the biggest fan of the franchise, had a lot of fun seeing a lot of these cars and vehicles and, in some cases bombs that were from the films showcased in this little courtyard area. It was actually really cool. Each vehicle has a QR code on a stand in front of it where you can watch a video or play a game talking about whatever vehicle you're looking at. They even got that large bomb that almost blows up the Vatican like I talked about earlier. This whole area is supposed to be some kind of stunt set / mechanic shop, so it's not really set in the Fast and the Furious universe, it's more celebrating all the stunt work that goes into making the films. Universal's official reasoning behind it is to bring back the park to its roots of pulling back the curtain on movie magic, but other than the QR codes and the fact that you can see stunt rigs in some of the cars, that's pretty much it. I love the thought, but let's be real, this is a roller coaster themed around the franchise that had its characters drive into space. This all sounds just like a way for Universal to explain why they didn't put that much of the budget into theming on this coaster, other than the props and the courtyard, you pretty much just walk through this industrial looking concrete brick lot. Comparing this to VelociCoaster, which has fantastic theming and I'll admit a pretty goofy story, it at least has us engaged with the ride outside of being excited to go really fast and flip around. Would I have wanted some kind of Vin Diesel animatronic telling me that we gotta drift in order to save the world? Yes, but at least some sort of loose theming for the launch station would have been nice. Have me feel like I'm checking out the family's hideout. The story could be as simple as we're invited in and we go on a joyride. Make the queue a fun Easter egg filled love letter to the franchise while giving those diehard fans an actual location from the films to go to. People, want to feel like they're a part of the movies. That's the whole point, and I think that's something that they're really missing out on this ride. The outside courtyard does give you some incredible views, not only of the San Fernando Valley, but also the coaster itself. This area of the queue is brutal, especially in the summer. There are a few fans and misters, but not enough to make an impact, and you spend a lot of moments in direct heat. The way they weave this coaster around the queue is incredible, and for sure has some of the best kinetic energy out of any coaster queue I've been in. This one section has the coaster doing an inversion and dropping just a few feet away from guest heads. It really showcases just how beautiful this coaster looks moving, as well as the stunning cliffside it's built on. This all really helps distract from the fact that I'm a few minutes away from being rushed to the medical tent. Honestly though, are we afraid of shade and misters? As a heat-sensitive individual who loves theme parks, we gotta stop designing outdoor sections in places that are known for being hot. Once we're done weaving through the courtyard, we enter a locker area, and if you're familiar with the other Universal coasters in Florida, this is a similar system using a park ticket or dedicated locker ticket to open your locker. I'm guessing after all these years of using weird fingerprint scanning technology, Universal decided that this was a more reliable option. Back in the day, you could get locked away from your stuff just because the fingerprint scanner was dirty or broken. These lockers are themed around vehicles from the films and look great. After this, you go through a metal detector, which for some reason was already a problem. I was already noticing people were having a hard time following the rules. Rides like these, you really don't want to have to worry about anything in your pockets, and they also can become like an actual danger safety issue for other people below. But for some reason, the poor team members during the preview event were constantly having to send people back to their lockers to put something away. This caused some bottleneck problems that I'm hoping are worked out before opening. It was for sure making the line much longer than it needed to be. At this point, team members are going to be screaming at people like it's the TSA. Last time I rode VelociCoaster, I watched a dad get into an argument with the team member because he wasn't allowed to take his phone. This is not just a Hollywood Drift problem, it's a people don't like being away from their stuff problem, and also they're stupid. After this, we weave through a lightly themed workshop featuring stuff like power tools and vehicle schematics, and this is probably the most themed part of the queue, but it's pretty minimal. You could look at a rack at an AutoZone and get the same level of detail. After this, we go up some stairs where another TV gives you ride safety information. Again, no fun themed safety video, which is a staple of so many fun rides. It's just a generic, very corporate video with a couple of shots of the ride. After this, we enter the loading station, which is lit kind of like a club with various multicolored lights shining throughout. And on the wall is a massive mural of the Iron Giant himself, Dominic Toretto, driving his iconic car next to a giant Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift logo. This is pretty much it for the station. I feel like there's a huge opportunity to add some props in here to at least make it feel like some kind of vehicle workshop. I'm not trying to be a hater, and once we get to the actual ride portion of this ride, you'll see just how much I like it. And honestly, I don't hate the queue and loading experience for this ride. Just seeing the coaster weaving around you alone is enough to build the anticipation. But with how hard Universal has gone in recent years with their themed roller coasters, I was just hoping Universal Studios Hollywood would get the same treatment. This is like 2 steps above Six Flags theming, which is totally fine. I remember the days where I was pretending to myself that I was excited for the Walking Dead attraction because that was the only new thing we had. If the trade-off for us getting one of the best coasters in the world was that it got mediocre theming, that's totally fine. Universal has just really set the bar so high in recent years, I was just expecting a little bit more. Once we get our number, we are lined up and we get to see these beautiful ride vehicles up close. The vehicles are of course some of the most iconic cars from the franchise. Going in order from front to back, we have Dominic Toretto's 1970 Dodge Charger, Han's 1997 Mazda RX-7, Brian's 2002 Nissan Skyline GTR, and Brian's 1994 Toyota Supra. Each ride vehicle gives a pretty different ride experience, so depending on where you're sitting, the intensity might be a little bit different. The front row seems to give the best views and offers a more balanced experience when it comes to the spinning aspect. The two middle rows are incredibly smooth, but in my experience spun a bit less than the front and the back, and the last row is probably the best seat in the house. The ride feels the fastest here, you spin way more, and overall it's just a more aggressive ride, giving me the closest feeling to being on VelociCoaster. And before I get into the logistics, let me just gush for a second. If you've been watching my channel for the last few months, you know very well about my nearly transcending experience I had on VelociCoaster, and how quickly it became my favorite roller coaster of all time. After riding it, I became more excited for Hollywood Drift because if it could mimic just a fraction of its power, I had something at my home park to quell my VelociCoaster related withdrawals. I'm very happy to report that while I wouldn't say that this is better than VelociCoaster, this ride has now become my third favorite roller coaster in the United States. To compare this ride to VelociCoaster is really unfair because what it does is so different. While VelociCoaster is unrelenting, non-stop, and kind of a punch to the face in the best way possible, Hollywood Drift is its cooler younger brother that's really just about cruising. It's about hanging out, man. It's about catching the curve. The way that they were able to achieve this fun and yet thrilling, kind of peaceful drifting sensation is incredible. While VelociCoaster has me screaming like a bat out of hell, Hollywood Drift has me feeling like I'm playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater, if that makes any sense. Starting off when we leave the station, for now there's no ride music, but I've seen videos of people hearing music coming from the cars, so hopefully when it fully opens we'll have some kind of soundtrack to our drifts.
Okay. Oh, there's music! Did you hear that? Oh, shit. Wait, was there music the whole time?
But for now, the revving engines vibrate our seats as you bank into the first drop, and the cars hit this little kind of side drift out of Mario Kart maneuver kind of thing. It's very cool. We go over some small hills with the car drifting side to side before plummeting down a larger hill, which has our cars kind of hitting a drift along the curve. We continue to face outwards while the cars spin into our first inversion, and the view, especially seeing the other riders facing you upside down with the entire city behind it, is just incredible. I was worried that spinning on these inversions would feel disorienting in a bad way, but with how smooth the coaster is, it's just an incredible sensation. After this, the cars straighten out and we go around another curve and hit our mid-course block brake run, which helps stall for dispatches but also serves as a way to give us a second to prepare ourselves because we are then spun backwards and then twisted sideways. Forgive me, I'm so bad with coaster terminology, but I'm trying my best here. But while we spin backwards, the track tilts sideways, and then we launch backwards up this twist while spinning to face forwards, launching towards the ride's top speed, spinning us into another inversion that drops us through the section of the queue, which I always take as an opportunity to be as obnoxiously loud as I can in hopes to hype up the people waiting below. We shoot out of the queue, and then we go over the starway and our cars drift to face the people below, and then we drop for our last section underneath the starway through another inversion, and then we reach the station. Sorry for my poor coaster descriptions, that's something that I'll get better at, but overall this ride is a blast. For one, it's not as short as I was worried it would be. It feels like a good and decent length for a proper roller coaster. It's a bit on the shorter side, but I was expecting it to be like 30 seconds long. You get a lot of surprises here, and each moment tops the last. There's no sections of this coaster that feel wasted. It also offers maneuvers that you can't get on any other coaster in Southern California, making it something unique that will make people want to check it out. It's thrilling, but I saw a ton of kids lined up to check it out, meaning that it's something that everyone in the family can enjoy, of course if they're brave enough. Universal really needed another thrill ride, and I think this is a perfect addition to the park. Already my season pass is feeling more worth it, knowing that once it's opened, I can stop by on a Tuesday evening and get my coaster fill. My only other options for a proper coaster was driving to Valencia and going to Six Flags, and now finally I don't have to. This ride is excellent and is truly one of a kind until, of course, Universal opens their own version in like 2 days based off of how fast their construction is going. My only real nitpicks are just that the theming could be a little bit better. I just feel like this is something that they could plus in the future, and with just a couple of touches of environmental storytelling, I feel like it could go a long way. There's people out there that are really into that kind of stuff, people like us. I also think they could have added some kind of road sign or some scenery to the side of the mountain. Nothing crazy, but maybe like some car parts or some grass or something to make it look like we're on some kind of, road. But the experience on this coaster is so excellent, I really can't complain. It looks like the opening is going from a summer 2026 to a fall 2026, and with Universal very quickly rushing to build a sound wall, I'm just hoping at some point they can give us a definitive date. The ride is basically open just with some added obstacles. I do worry that the residents of Toluca Lake will just constantly move the goalpost until Universal just caves in and builds a soundstage around the ride. They're kind of trolling them though with these construction times that are officially posted on the HOA for Toluca Lake. They say that it's night going from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Universal's like, fine, don't let us have our coaster, but you know what's worse than faint screams? Construction at 4 a.m. I hope throughout all of this, Universal isn't scared into only making indoor roller coasters or attractions from now on, and maybe they can reach some kind of agreement that allows them to open this and future attractions with much less headache. But for now, it seems like Universal is at war with the residents of Toluca Lake, and Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift is being held hostage. Overall, I'm excited to see Universal Studios Hollywood finally get some of the love it deserves. Universal throughout the industry has made so many steps in the right direction, and Hollywood has always been a park that's sadly been the butt of jokes around its, constant reliance on screen-based attractions. So I'm hoping that this represents a shift into a new direction going forward. I love Hollywood Drift, and I'm hoping that with some tweaks, the ride will only get better as the years go on. It's a thrilling and unique experience, and you can't find it anywhere else, and I'm just as excited for my 4th ride as I was for my 1st. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for, sticking by and supporting the channel. If you guys like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Kind of going over current and past stuff all the time. The next video coming out will be the final video of our Islands of Adventure series, talking, all about Seuss Landing. Tell me guys how you felt about Hollywood Drift. Do you think it lived up to the hype? Are you sacrilegious and think it's better than Velocicoaster? Let me know in the comments. Again, I always like to reply to you guys. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.